Power has never belonged to the kind. It has never belonged to the loudest. It belongs to the one who understands perception. Because human beings do not follow morality, they follow emotional gravity. They bend toward whoever feels unshakable. Machiavelli knew this truth better than anyone. A ruler does not control people through force alone. Force creates rebellion. True power is far more elegant. It lives in the mind of the observer. The moment people believe you are untouchable, unpredictable, and emotionally beyond their reach, they begin surrendering control willingly. Most people destroy their own aura without realizing it. They explain too much. They seek approval. They reveal every emotion on their face. They react instantly to disrespect. They try to be understood by everyone. And in doing so, they become ordinary. But there is another path, a darker path, the path of calculated restraint, of silent authority, of becoming so mentally composed that your mere presence alters the behavior of others. Tonight you will learn how to create that presence. 1. The power of controlled silence. Most men destroy their authority with their own mouth. They speak too quickly, explain too much, and defend themselves too often. They believe power comes from constant expression, but Machiavelli understood a darker truth. The more people know about your thoughts, the less power your presence carries. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is psychological warfare. Watch carefully how people behave in a room. The nervous man rushes to fill every pause because he fears judgment. The weak man laughs too loudly because he fears rejection. But the dangerous man remains calm in silence, and that silence begins to infect everyone around him. People start wondering what he is thinking. They become desperate to read his emotions. They project power onto him because the human mind fears what it cannot fully understand. This is why kings spoke less than servants. This is why powerful leaders pause before answering. Silence creates tension, and tension creates authority. The moment you stop reacting instantly, people begin reacting to you. Imagine someone insults you publicly. Most people rush to defend themselves emotionally. They argue. They explain. They expose insecurity. But the ruthless man simply stares, calm, unreadable, unaffected. That single moment of restraint becomes more terrifying than any emotional outburst because emotional control signals superiority. The crowd subconsciously understands that a man who controls himself can control situations. Machiavelli believed perception is reality, and silence manipulates perception better than words ever could. When you speak less, every sentence gains weight. Every movement appears intentional. Every pause feels calculated. People lean closer when you talk because rarity creates value. Controlled silence also reveals the weakness of others. The moment you stop oversharing, others begin exposing themselves to fill the void. They confess insecurities. They reveal intentions. They seek your approval without realizing it. Silence turns conversations into interrogation rooms where the other person willingly hands over psychological leverage. But understand this clearly. Silence is only powerful when paired with confidence. A silent man who looks afraid becomes invisible. A silent man who looks composed becomes unforgettable. Your posture, eye contact, and emotional steadiness must communicate that you do not need validation from anyone in the room, because the most powerful presence is the one that never begs to be seen too. Emotional detachment creates fear and respect. The average person is controlled by emotion. Their anger controls their decisions. Their loneliness controls their standards. Their desire for approval controls their personality. They are puppets pulled by invisible emotional strings, and because of this, they are predictable. Machiavelli understood that the moment people can predict you, our emotional reactions, they can control you. This is why emotional detachment becomes terrifying power. When someone knows exactly what will hurt you, exactly what will make you angry, jealous, insecure, or desperate, they hold psychological leverage over your mind. Most people hand over this leverage freely. One insult ruins their day. One rejection destroys their confidence. One moment of disrespect turns them emotional and reckless. But the ruthless man operates differently. He trains himself to remain untouched by emotional chaos. Not because he feels nothing, but because he understands emotions are weapons that must be controlled, not displayed. The person who masters emotional discipline immediately appears superior in every interaction. Why? Because calmness under pressure signals hidden strength. Imagine two men facing betrayal. One explodes emotionally, exposing pain and desperation. The other remains composed, speaks slowly, and walks away without seeking revenge or validation. Which man becomes unforgettable? Which man creates fear? The emotionally detached individual forces people to confront uncertainty. They cannot read him. They cannot manipulate him. And what people cannot control, they begin to respect. This is the secret politicians, kings, and powerful leaders have used throughout history. They never reveal the full depth of their emotions because emotional exposure weakens authority. The more reactive you become, the more ordinary you appear. Emotional reactions tell the world where you are vulnerable. Machiavelli warned rulers never to become prisoners of mercy, anger, or attachment because attachment clouds judgment. A man addicted to approval will tolerate disrespect just to keep people around him. A man addicted to attention will constantly perform for the crowd. But a detached man does not chase. He does not beg. He does not emotionally collapse when people leave his life because his identity is not dependent on external validation. And, darkest truth of all, people are naturally drawn toward those who appear emotionally self-sufficient. Human beings obsess over what they cannot emotionally possess. The less dependent you appear, the more magnetic your presence becomes. Your calmness begins to intimidate emotional people because it reminds them they are still slaves to impulses they cannot control. 3. The art of becoming unpredictable. Human beings are addicted to patterns. They study your habits, your reactions, your weaknesses, and once they understand your pattern, they begin controlling your behavior without you even noticing. The moment people know exactly how you will react, your power disappears. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Predictability creates comfort, and comfort destroys fear, respect, and authority. This is why the most dangerous individuals are always slightly unpredictable, not chaotic, not unstable, calculated. Most people live like open books. They answer instantly. They reveal every intention. I follow routines so repetitive that others can manipulate them with ease. If someone knows praise controls you, they flatter you. If they know anger controls you, they provoke you. If they know loneliness controls you, they withdraw attention. Predictable people become easy targets because their emotional buttons are visible to everyone. But the ruthless man hides his pattern. Sometimes he speaks. Sometimes he watches silently. Sometimes he rewards loyalty unexpectedly. Sometimes he walks away without explanation. People can never fully calculate him, and that uncertainty creates psychological tension. The human mind fears what it cannot predict because unpredictability removes the illusion of control. Think about the leaders, conquerors, and powerful figures throughout history. Their enemies feared them not only because of strength, but because no one knew their next move. One day they showed mercy. The next day they acted with cold decisiveness. This forced people to remain cautious. Around them at all times. Machiavelli believed rulers should avoid being completely understood because once your enemies understand you completely, they begin preparing against you. Mystery becomes a shield. Unpredictability becomes strategy. Even in ordinary life, this principle changes everything. The person who is always available loses value. The person who always reacts emotionally becomes easy to manipulate. But when your behavior cannot be fully anticipated, people begin paying closer attention to you. They analyze your words more carefully. Your presence gains psychological weight because uncertainty creates obsession. And understand this carefully, unpredictability is not about acting randomly like a fool. It is about mastering controlled contrast. Calm when others expect anger. Silence when others expect defense. Distance when others expect desperation. Confidence when others expect weakness. Because the moment people realize they cannot mentally corner you, they stop trying. To dominate you and start trying to understand you. 4. Scarcity and mystery increase human obsession. Human beings are strange creatures. They rarely value what is constantly available to them. What is easy to access becomes ordinary. What is constantly explained loses intrigue. This is why Machiavelli understood one of the darkest laws of power. Mystery creates obsession, and scarcity creates value. Most people destroy their own aura by overexposing themselves. They post every thought, reveal every emotion, explain every decision, and remain constantly available to everyone around them. There is no tension left in their presence, no curiosity, no psychological distance. And without mystery, people stop respecting you because the human mind becomes fascinated only by what it cannot fully possess. Think about it carefully. Why do people obsess over individuals who seem emotionally distant? Why do certain leaders command attention without speaking constantly? Why does silence from one person feel more powerful than endless noise from another? Because the unknown forces the imagination to work, and imagination is stronger than reality. The ruthless man understands this principle deeply. He does not reveal everything about himself. He allows people to wonder. He speaks enough to create impact, but never enough to become fully predictable. His life is not an open book because transparency removes psychological power. Machiavelli believed rulers should carefully manage perception. If people completely understand you, they stop fearing you. But when parts of your mind remain hidden, your presence grows larger in their imagination. Mystery creates myths, and myths create authority. Scarcity works the same way. The more available you are, the less valuable your attention becomes. People begin taking your presence for granted. But when your time, energy, and approval become limited, others start competing for access to you. Scarcity transforms attention into status. This is West. High, powerful individuals never chase excessively. They do not flood people with validation. They do not desperately seek acceptance. Their restraint creates tension, and tension creates emotional gravity. People become obsessed with earning attention that is not easily given. But understand this carefully. Mystery is not about pretending to be cold or arrogant. It is about maintaining control over what people know about you. Never reveal your full emotional state. Never expose every ambition. Never make yourself completely accessible. Let people earn deeper access to your mind over time, because the moment your entire personality becomes predictable, your aura loses its edge and your presence becomes forgettable. 5. Ruthless self-control is the foundation of authority. At the center of all power lies one brutal truth. If you cannot control yourself, someone else will. This is the law most people never understand. They spend their lives trying to control others while remaining slaves to our own impulses. Their anger controls them. Their desires control them. Their need for validation controls them. And because of this, they can never truly command respect. Machiavelli understood that authority begins within. Before a ruler can dominate a kingdom, he must first dominate his own emotions, habits, and weaknesses. Because the man who loses control of himself in moments of pressure reveals something dangerous to the world: vulnerability. Watch how ordinary people behave under stress. The moment they feel insulted, they react emotionally. The moment they feel temptation, they abandon discipline. The moment life becomes uncomfortable, they seek escape. They are ruled by impulse, and impulsive people are easy to manipulate because their behavior can always be predicted by emotion. But the ruthless man becomes different. He trains himself to remain composed when others panic. He controls his tongue when anger demands reaction. He controls his desires when temptation clouds judgment. And he controls his focus while others drown in distraction. And slowly people begin sensing something powerful about him. A man with self-control appears dangerous because he cannot be emotionally hijacked by the crowd. This is why disciplined individuals naturally command authority even without speaking loudly. Their restraint communicates strength. Their patience communicates confidence. Their ability to endure discomfort separates them from emotionally fragile people. Machiavelli warned that weakness disguised as kindness eventually invites disrespect. The world tests every man constantly. People observe how quickly you break under pressure. They observe how easily you can be manipulated through pleasure, fear, or attention. And the moment they discover your weakness, your authority begins collapsing silently. True self-control means becoming emotionally sovereign. It means your mood is not controlled by praise or criticism.